Come on, BTC.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. Today it is the 13th, the 12th of August. It's 11 o'clock Central European time. We are back after a very long, hot and sticky weekend. I do apologize. First off the bat, I haven't made any videos this weekend. It's been so hot. It's been 26 to 25 degrees at night. It's just too hot. You're waking up tired. But we are nearly at the end of August. We will be back to a full complement of streams and videos, hopefully by September. So, we've had a nice weekend. Markets haven't been too good, but we're going to go through that in a bit. Mags has raised a very valid point that we're going to go through later on, which is that Bitcoin appears to be coming down, and I am in concurrence. We're going to go through that in a second. What we're going to talk about today then, first of all, don't panic. Secondly, we're going to talk about XRP. We spoke yesterday, last time we streamed, about how XRP is now out of the shackles of the court case. The SEC have gone away on their merry little way, and XRP is now free to do what it wants. We're going to talk about some of the potential for XRP moving forward. We're going to talk about Zcash, what's happened there. We're going to talk about some token unlocks built on Sand. We're going to talk about Sandbox there, and then we're going to talk about what DCA is. So today is a mixture of a show. It's going to start off fairly complicated, but it's going to finish with an explanation of what DCA is, dollar cost averaging. So hopefully, if you watch to the end of the stream, there should be a little bit for everybody in this stream. Now, before we do that, we're going to go through the markets, and we're also going to go through quite a lot of indicators of where we think the market is going to go. So we're going to have a lot of bits, lots of variation in today's stream. And a few good mornings, of course, as always. Mags is in chat. Hidden Agendas is here. Gianni is here. Good morning, Gianni. Welcome to the stream. And before we begin, two last things. Number one, bottom left-hand corner, 153,401. I hadn't updated it properly on Friday, so I tallied them all up yesterday. 153,400. That's what we're up to. We are only 46,500 away from our goal of 200,000. And given the way it's going to be touch and go if we get there by Christmas. And the title of the show today is, Are We Gonna Rip It? I've got a tweet from Matthew Hyland, who I haven't included on the show for a little while. We're going to go through that. Good morning to Tariq. Welcome. Remember, if you are here, smash the like button and say hello, because the algorithm likes hearing you type, apparently. Apparently so. Right, let's get on with them. We have got a lot to get through and not a lot of time to do it. So the total market cap is coming in still over 2 trillion, 2.07 trillion. The volume is 64 billion. That's to be expected because, of course, we've had a weekend. Bitcoin dominance, ETH dominance still over 71%. Fear and greed is 50. I can't believe we're at 50 for fear and greed. I would have expected this to have been down towards the 30 range, something like that. Bitcoin coming in at 58.6. Now, we are down 4.5% in the last 24 hours, and we know why. We know why. I'm going to tell you why. I spoke about it on Friday and Saturday in our trading Telegram group. We spoke about what was going to happen. One of my scenarios was that we were going to go to 61.7, which is the bull market support band, and then come back down to 58,000. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. I don't think we're all the way through this yet. ETH then coming in at 25.6. BNB $506. Really? Didn't think we were still that high. Solana coming in at 145. That's down 7% over the last 24 hours. And XRP 57 cents. Why isn't it at $1? We're going to go through some bullish news. Sui is up. Lots of people are starting to go long on Sui. Now, I am not going to tell you to do that because I don't give financial advice. And yes, I do hold a very small bag of Sui. I think I've got about $300 of Sui. And people are talking about longing. There are some people who have sold their Ethereum and bought Sui. I don't know exactly why. I'm just passing on the information. That's up 5.5%. Tether, USD, you know it's a bad day when the stables are in the top gainers. Losers then, Mantra, 96 pence for Mantra. Chevron, if you are watching, 96 pence for Mantra. I made a video about this and said, I think I said 80 to 90 cents is a good price. It's at 96 cents. Think about that one. Optimism is down nearly 10%. Ondo at 74 cents. Another absolute steal. Brett at 9 cents. Absolutely bargain prices here. Render, again, bargain prices. Jupiter, 81 cents for Jupiter. It's about to burn almost a third of its supply. These are not the times you should be worrying. You should be doing what Chevron did. Chevron, I think, yesterday said, what should I be picking up? What's cheap in the market? And there's plenty of cheap projects in the market here. Mantra, Optimism, Ondo, these are cheap prices. Brett, Render, Jupiter down here is good. I suppose Dog with Hat under $2 is also good. Solana, 145 for Solana, 85 cents for FET. This is like going into your favorite toy shop when you were a little kid and picking up all of your favorite toys. That's what it's for. Oh, I have completely forgotten to tell Peter, we have a poll of the day. And the poll of the day is a special one. Can Australians break dance? Is the poll of the day. Yes, she was a credit. No, I could do better. Only 6 people have voted so far, and 100% have said no, I could do better. Now then, think about that. She was hopeless. Now, one of my guilty pleasures, and it doesn't sound like the kind of thing that I would do, is I actually like watching breakdancing. Mainly the American ones, but the French are pretty good at it as well. And what she did was the equivalent of me running out onto the pitch as a nearly 50-year-old man for Manchester United and trying to run down the wing. It's just not done, is it? It's not done. She's not a break dancer. I don't care. Facts over feelings is something which I've been talking about for a while. She shouldn't have been allowed. And it's one of those things which, you know what, we'll show you a video in a minute. We are wrecked off betting agencies. Kamala Harris is she's having a honeymoon period, number one, and number two, she's not ahead in the polls. She is not 53% up in the polls. I am telling you now. Right then, so let's get into this. We've got a lot to get through, and it's going to take a lot of time, so I'm going to go as quick as I can. Publicly traded Bitcoin miners. That is the amount of Bitcoin held by the miners. So this is all they've got to sell, okay? Now, Marathon aren't going to sell theirs because they are the OGs. They're the big guys. They've got 21,000. Then you've got Riot, Hut, and CLSK. I'm not too sure who they are. They've got between 7,000 and 9,000. It's not a lot. When we're talking about BlackRock and the ETFs buying 4,500 Bitcoin in a day, do you remember we mentioned following the halving, the miners capitulate and sell their Bitcoin to keep going? And that takes a period of 6 months. May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay. We're running out of Bitcoin to sell. So that downward pressure Good morning, Colin. What is an MP, Ols? Oh, what polls am I watching? I'm not watching any polls, but believe you me, if the press want you to win, what are they going to do? They're going to pick a very specific target audience, and then all you're going to see is Harris versus Trump and Harris winning. It's not going to happen. If BlackRock keeps buying Bitcoin at the current price, there will be no available Bitcoin in supply within 9 months. That means within 9 months you could be a millionaire if you own a couple of Bitcoin. Now, I pulled him up on this. This is not the kind of information that you want to portray. And the problem is, this information has been seen by 102,000 people. Now, I have replied, and the reason I have replied, and the reason I'm telling you about this, is not to show me arguing with somebody, it's to point out the edit which should have been made. There will be no available Bitcoin in supply within 9 months unless people start to sell at higher prices. Okay? There is a thing called supply and demand. When the supply falls, the demand naturally increases. When Bitcoin is at $100,000, people are going to start sending their Bitcoin to exchanges to be sold. There is a natural balance and a natural order. And there will be people that have held Bitcoin since it was $1,000 that will want to sell at $100,000, and that's their God-given right. This is what I've been saying for ages on this channel. New people coming to crypto don't understand the nuances of how crypto or stocks or bonds or how the global financial system works. They don't get it. So when they read things like this, they think, okay, so if I buy 1 Bitcoin now, in 9 months' time, I'm going to be a millionaire. That's what that says to the uninitiated. And that's a problem for me, because it's just like the press. They have become either sensationalist or I think they call it rage baiting, don't they? Where they get you angry. This is nonsense. If you trade altcoins, get ready, the whole market is going to 30x. So what he's saying there, if the whole market is going to 30x, he thinks the entire crypto market is going to $60 trillion. Everybody with any brain, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the Ben Cowans and the sensible people in the world, have already said that the crypto market is going to top out about $10 trillion. He's talking about it going to $60 trillion. Why? Because it's a lazy thing to say, and it gives people too much hope. You are not going to be a millionaire in 9 months' time based solely off the fact that the calculation shows you run out of Bitcoin. I've told you before the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is going down. Anyway, moving on. We don't have a lot of time to talk about that. Ash, good morning. Can I turn my mic up? Is my mic very low? Doesn't appear to be very low. I'm watching my levels here. It's going to yellow. Let me just turn the volume up on the TV. I'm watching my levels here. Yeah. I'm good. I'll tell you what. I'll turn the music down a touch. There we go. Right, the music is down, and I will speak a bit louder. Okay, let's move on then very quickly. Right, this is a good question that I found, and I thought I'm going to include it. What happens when the last Bitcoin is mined? Well, first of all, we're never going to get to the last Bitcoin being mined. But when we get close to the last Bitcoin being mined, what people don't understand is miners don't just make revenue from the blocks, from the rewards. They also make it from the transaction fees. So when you transact on Bitcoin, so let's say you send half a Bitcoin from exchange X to exchange Y, that will cost you $20, for example. And yes, the exchange takes a little bit, but the majority of that money, let's call it $19, that goes to the miners. So as you can see down here, miners will continue to mine new blocks and the reward will be the transaction fees. So to give you an example of this, when we had the inscriptions, which was last year sometime, miners were making twice as much money from the transaction fees as they were from the Bitcoin that was being mined. Okay, so it's not necessarily, and it used to be the same on Ethereum when Ethereum was proof of work as well. So when those transactions are mined, if you imagine there's 100,000 transactions and they're all making, every transaction is $20. That's $2 million worth of transaction fees, and that goes to the miners. So when Bitcoin gets to an astronomical amount, the mining fees are going to follow suit. And that causes a problem that isn't mentioned in here. And that is, if you own a very small amount of Bitcoin, let's say $500 worth of Bitcoin, how do you send it somewhere if the transaction fees are $1,000? That's another problem that none of us will be alive to think about. Now then, me trying to figure out how to not get throttled or suppressed in this X algo. And there she is, Peter. I hope you are watching. I hope you are proud of this young lady. I actually thought she'd fallen over and she was trying to get back up, but there was some kind of glue. Or maybe she was on one of those fairground rides, you know, that spins around and the gravity keeps you on the floor. I just thought she was stuck to the floor. But no, apparently she was dancing. So for all those Australians watching, congratulations, you have stolen the Olympics from Snoop Dogg. Because it was Snoop Dogg's Olympics until that young lady got up and started to dance. And now the head of the Australian Olympic Committee is saying that hurty words are bad. Well, unfortunately, she was rubbish. I don't know what else you want me to say. Now then, another thing to throw in here. I've only got two more things to show you and then I'm going to get on with the show. Mr. Bean. Now, all of you will know Mr. Bean is Rowan Atkinson. He is a very famous English comedian. I first saw him many, many years ago where he read out a school register and did it in such a way that was making people laugh. He's a very good and funny individual. And he's talking about the right to insult. And again, I'm not going to get political. It's not about getting political. It's about censorship. And the problem is that crypto is trying to take your financial freedom away from the control of any government. And it's not about doing that illegally. It's about putting you in charge of your money. Because if a government, so if Peter in chat called me, what did they call it, English people? Is it POMs? Anyway, let's say Peter called me a POM. Is that offensive? No. Okay. But it's my right to be offended. And it's Peter's right to say it. We all have a right to be offended. That's part of what life is about. And by censoring these things, it's terrible. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if they go after your freedom to protest, if they go after your freedom to speak, they're going to go after your freedom of money. They're going to go after your money. Okay? We've seen it in Canada with the truckers. We've seen it in other parts of the world. It's one step away. And as I said, 1984 was wrong because it was 40 years too early. Now then, moving on. Matthew Hyland. I've not included Matthew in a stream for a very long time. And apparently I must have not unfollowed, but notificationed myself from him. And he is one of the best TA people out there because he explains it in English. And so in some respect, he's been a little bit of motivation for me trying to include more of these things. Now, does anybody recognize these charts, these choppy charts in these boxes in the middle? 2012, 2016, 2020. Does anybody recognize this area here that we're in, where we haven't gone up, we haven't gone down, we're just sitting there in the middle? Every August, we found the bottom before trending upwards into Q4. And that's what I'm going to show you when we get to the Bitcoin chart in a minute. So remember this chart. I'm actually probably going to keep it in the background to show you against the chart for Bitcoin. But we've got a lot more to get through. I've got a lot to get through. I'm working out the time, 40 minutes. So last point today on this is that on Wednesday, we have core CPI Wednesday about 3:30, which is 3:30 European time, 2:30 in the UK. I don't know what time it is in Australia, Peter. Is it like maybe 11:30 at night, 10:30 at night, something like that? So the core CPI is important because we want to know month on month, year on year, is inflation going up or down? And according to Trueflation, inflation is coming down. So I'm expecting a bullish day on Wednesday. But again, if we see 0.1 in the wrong direction, then we know things are going to happen. Also, the Fed have already said that they're going to start to take corrective measures in the market. That means a September rate cut. So it's been foretold. It's going to happen. So Wednesday is a big day. Wednesday, big day. Okay? Stick that in your mind. Now then, I'm going to show you a couple of charts now, and they're going to be as quick as possible because I don't really want to go through these in too much depth. This is the S&P 500. Why is this important? Because we appear to have bottomed, and that was on the 5th of August. This is to do with the Bank of Japan putting interest rates up. We appear to have bottomed. We appear to have bounced, come down, broken through the bull market support band, and now we're back above it. What happened the last time they broke beneath it? They bounced, broke through, and then went on a very long, happy run from November 23 to April 24. So they had 6 months. 6 months upwards. If the same things happened that happened then, we would expect, and again, this is finger in the air, this isn't to be precise, I'm just giving you a general direction. So what you would expect is maybe something like this, and then maybe towards October or November, election time, we're going to see new highs for the S&P. So I think we might have bottomed on the S&P. The next thing, very quickly, we're going to try and keep checking this on a Monday if it's important. The CME gap is there. The CME gap, we closed last week at 60,600. So if I was a betting man, I would say that we close this in a few hours' time. I think the CME gap should be closed. So we should see a little bit of a move up. But again, not 100% certain that's going to happen. It doesn't always close. It might close and then come down. And then finally, as well as the S&P bottoming, it looks like the DXY bottomed. It came down, it touched our 2 points. It now seems to be moving back up. I think it's going to move back up over the course of August. And then with the September rate cut, potentially start to move down again. So again, that is more evidence that maybe Bitcoin isn't quite out of the woods yet. And we're going to get to one last thing just to show you, I think the markets are heading in a downward pattern, and that's the crypto bubbles. So if you look over the last 24 hours, pretty much everything is red apart from SUI. You know that because we looked at the charts. But if you look at the weekly, we're all green. We've had some big gainers. SUI's up 81%. Helium with Crow's up 20%. So there's lots of gainers, but again, go back to the monthly and we're still in a downward pattern. So this is nice to see at a glance how well we are doing, but again, I don't want to include it too much. So before we get onto the Bitcoin chart, let's look at another one of these targets. Don't panic. Top analyst says Bitcoin will hit $175,000 this market cycle. Again, every week there's going to be a different prediction. Rich Dad Poor Dad said that by the end of August we'd be at $350,000 for Bitcoin. He then retracted that statement and said it wasn't a wish, it was a dream. Or it wasn't a prediction, it was a wish and a dream. Again, just like Martini Guy, and I've got a lot of respect for all of these people because they've been doing it a lot longer than me, you've got to be careful when you are talking about crypto, because people new to crypto, it takes them a year to catch up to what goes on. You think about what we talk about. We talk about macro environmental changes. We talk about policies. We talk about interest rate cuts. We talk about the S&P. We talk about Bitcoin, the dollar. It's a lot of information that crypto people talk about. When you hear crypto people, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. The reason is that some of these targets given by these so-called big influencers, they're so outrageous and ridiculous that nobody takes them seriously. Apart from newcomers to crypto, who are the ones that get burnt? We've got an advert playing. Give me 1 second. Let's get rid of that. There we go. We're back. So, good morning to I think Bullish Bull's arrived. Good morning, Bullish Bull. So, Bitcoin is at a critical point. Caleb Franzen is paying close attention. Analysed the key chart tracking Bitcoin's performance since the end of 2022, focusing on the 200-day moving average. In an interview, he explained that Bitcoin's recent drop below these long-term averages is concerning. In bull markets, prices usually stay above these key levels. Dropping below them could signal that Bitcoin might be entering a bearish phase. Franzen isn't panicking. He pointed out that similar drops happened before in August and June, and each time Bitcoin quickly bounced back. Again, as we said last week, there are about 6 or 7 corrections during a bull run, because nothing goes up or down in a straight line and nothing goes up and down forever. So there are, as I said, I think 6 or 7 corrections. How many have we had so far? 3. So we have 4 more to come. Maybe this is another one. Maybe this is the 4th. We don't know. Bull markets are characterized by price trending above key short-term, medium-term and long-term moving averages. So if we're breaking below these, it is not a bullish indication. So we're in a bearish regime. He was also looking at the bigger picture. He thinks Bitcoin could reach 175 during the market cycle using a method called the Fibonacci extension. Lots of people use this. He's been sticking to this target for a while and believes if Bitcoin hits this level, other major cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Solana could see big gains. I too totally agree. And again, there is a huge argument at the minute on crypto Twitter about Solana being a scam. Everybody's piling in on it. ADA guys are piling in on it. Multiverse people, Ethereum people, they're all piling in to have a moan about Bitcoin. Sorry, not Bitcoin, Solana. And you know what? Focus on your own projects. Focus on getting Cardano to be the best blockchain. Focus on everything else. You don't start shouting at your not, I suppose, competitors in some respects. Now then, Bitcoin, where have all my my lines gone? There we go. We're back. Okay, so let's get rid of some of these lines for a minute because this looks awfully complicated to anybody that's just joining us. This is Bitcoin. It has been in this pattern since the 28th of February. Up, down, up, down. Up a little bit, down a little bit. Up to the top. Can't break through. Down, up, down, up, down. Now, this is what I was talking about in our Telegram group. We have our bull market support band, do we not? Yes, we do. And where did we wick to? On Sunday, we wicked right to it, and we got rejected hard. It was a hard no, okay? There's a soft no, and there's a hard no, okay? That was a hard no. When it gets rejected, and let's use this example over here. Let's make it fit, actually. This got rejected at the midpoint of the support band. What happened? It came up here, and then we came all the way down here. Now, this is what I was saying today. If this is the pattern, then we could come down. Maybe not as low as that, because we came down from a higher point. But I think 54,000 is the next port of call. I'm not going to predict that we go down to 44,000 just yet, because we're still back in this range. But I think we could come down to $54,000. And that is where we've kind of bounced before, here and here. So 54 is on the cards. And again, we're heading into a CPI data week. That could mean one or two things. Maybe the CPI data comes in and it's fine and we do this. Okay, we have a nice big green candle, everything's back on, everybody's happy. Or the CPI data comes in, potentially, let's call it 0.1% higher than it should be. Then we will potentially do that. Okay, and I've had this 52,000, 51,7, 52-ish as the next level. So got 54 and 52. And then if it's really bad, which I don't think it will be, then we've got the level down here at 44. I don't think we're going to come that low. I think that one's gone. I think, if anything, let's bring that line down there. If anything happens, that's, I think, the lowest will come, and we'll wick to 52.6. I think. However, I don't have a crystal ball. There's lots of things that can happen in the next week. The Ethereum and the Bitcoin ETFs could absolutely rip us. You know, we've seen positive inflows on Bitcoin and Ethereum last week. We've seen the grayscale sell-off of Ethereum start to slow down. So maybe we do this. You know, maybe we bounce off 56.5. You know, the indications are down, but we don't know how far down. So we've got to look at the figures. 56.5, 54, 52. That's not really 52.6, I don't think. That's more likely 52.4, something like that. So there's about three levels below us. And above us, we've got to get back in here. We've got to get back above there. That's the top of the bull market support. That's a long way away at 65,000 from where we are now. It's, what, 15%. So it's not all rosy in the short term, but it doesn't mean it's not bullish. Now, do you remember the chart that I said at the beginning, keep an eye on this? These three previous cycles, 12, 16 and 20, had this period of time where we bottomed in August. And then we went on a run in Q4. Okay, this area is probably the bottom. Now, when did I say, and when have I been saying all along, if there's confluence here, I have been saying that the 20th of October is when the miners normally finish capitulating. Everything ties up with that. And it's not going to be the 20th. That was a rule of thumb. So let's say October. Well, Q4 is October, November, and December. That's 3 months. So if we are going to come down to 52 or 54, we've got 3 weeks left. No, we haven't. We've got 2.5 weeks left of this month where it normally finds the bottom, as you can see. Now, also, don't forget, this wick, if I take that off for a minute, this wick here could very well have been the bottom. It could have been the bottom. And we've been, again, everybody's saying, oh, you know, Bitcoin's very volatile, Bitcoin is doing this. We've been in this range for February to August. 6 months we've been here. 6 months. How is that volatile when we've been doing a very simple pattern? I mean, what did we start off? We started off at 60. 60 to 70, and now we're at 56.6 to 69. I don't consider that to be incredibly volatile. It's in a range, and it's in the same range that we've had in every previous cycle. And history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. So what does that mean? Well, if we go in here, and if we say, okay, let's take it from the 1st of October, as close as we can get it. Let's say there, okay? Every time he changes the colour of these lines, that lad. Right, well, there's a line there. So what could happen? We could see some chop. Maybe we come down there, we're still there. And then we hit October. And then we kind of retest this line that's coming down. We bounce off it, and then we start to move to the upside. Now, that looks like every other previous cycle. So we chop around. We get to the end of August, where we get towards the top of this range. And then by Q4, we start to break out. So that would be getting to about 70,000 by the end of the year, maybe, something like that. And then we start to break into next year. And again, then it's all about timing. How far into next year is this bull run going to go? That's the question. Now, I will stick by my target of September to October. That's what I'm going to stick to. Now, if I'm wrong, some people are saying May. Some people are saying July. In the previous cycle, in 2021, we had an April top and a November top. And some people are saying that the November top was caused by the influx of cash from the pandemic payments. That's a very fine argument, and they could be right. So maybe we top at the end of April. Well, we're going into September. That gives us 7 months. How high is Bitcoin going to get in 7 months from here? Are we going to see 300,000 in that time? I don't think so. Are we going to see a 3x from here? Well, a 3x from here would give us 174,000. And 174,000 sounds an awful lot like the target that our good friend over here predicted, 175. So he could be right. I think worst case scenario is a doubling. So we would get from, let's say, 60 to 120,000. But that kind of ballpark, not the ballpark of 350,000. My best case scenario for Bitcoin is 240,000. That's my best case with everything going for us. And can we hit that? I don't know. Again, the longer we don't move, yes, the more explosive it is going to be. And we are going to rip, and we are going to do multiples. But I go back to the Martini guy saying that we're going to 30x. If we 30x, you could argue, well, the Bitcoin money will flow into Ethereum and flow into the alts, and so it won't have to hit 60 trillion to get the money flowing around. I get that, but even if you halve it and say it's going to go to 30 trillion, we're at 2 trillion. We're at 2 trillion. Where is $28 trillion worth of value going to come from in the next year? It's not. And that's why I think some of these predictions are so detached from the truth. And, I'm sure he's got an analyst to back all of these things up. Maybe he has. But I would listen to Cathie Wood. I would listen to maybe Michael Saylor. I would listen to Ben Cowan, who look at facts and figures rather than, and I'm not picking on Martini guy because I just found his tweet about it. Cryptos Are Us said that Solana would be at $1,000 by the end of the year. How accurate is that going to be? Well, given that we've got 4 months left and we're at $150,000, it's going to have to go some crazy numbers to get there. And maybe it will. Maybe the ETF will be approved. Maybe the ETF will be approved and maybe it will rip. Again, we can't look forward and say somebody's wrong because he could easily be right and I could be wrong. But we can look back when we get there and say who was more accurate. I've said The best we can do by the end of this year is probably $450, I think I said. I've made a video about it. I'm there. Go and watch it. But I don't think we'll be anywhere near $1,000. Now, Ripple, again, why isn't Ripple at $1? I said it'd be at $1 if it won its court case, and it won its court case, so why are we not at $1? That's the question I'd be asking. And the answer is, there's loads of reasons we're not at $1. And there's loads of reasons that I can point to. For example, the SEC have got 2 months to appeal. So that would be October again. So again, we're looking at October. So by October the 7th, the SEC have to have appealed. And if they don't appeal by October the 7th, then Ripple is completely and utterly in the clear. So that's one reason, potentially, why it hasn't pumped. The other reason is, of course, that the entire market tanked and the Ripple news came out at the worst possible time. That's another reason. The third reason is that people simply don't want to buy XRP at this moment in time, at this moment in the bull run. There's loads of reasons. I still think we should be over $1, even though we've had a dump, even though they've got a chance to appeal, because you can still see the speculation coming into Solana for the ETF. You saw it come into Ethereum for the ETF, so it should have pumped. So, also, another thing I want to point out is that we said on here that Ripple has probably a year worth of announcements to make about partnerships and deals. And they weren't going to do any of that until the court case with the SEC was closed. Now, we are 4 or 5 days after the court case has closed. Yes, we've still got the 2-month window for the appeal, but we are after the end of the court case. We are already starting to see Ripple talk about these deals. They have partnered with the Dubai International Finance Center. The collaboration aims to increase crypto adoption amongst early-stage companies and scale-ups, as well as introduce the benefits of blockchain tech to entities part of the zone. Speaking on the matter, Brad Garlinghouse has said, "Our partnership with the DIFC Innovation Hub promises to drive the adoption of blockchain tech in the region as the XRPL continues to be a leading blockchain for the region's startups." In 2021, Ripple unveiled a $1 billion XRP fund to foster the development and new global use cases of XRP. So far, the company has funded 160 teams building on the ledger, reaching 47 countries. Arif Amiri, CEO, highlighted the deal with Ripple as a significant milestone that further cements the role as a leading global hub for talent, tech, and innovation. Reese Merrick, our new collaboration will empower regional talent to build the next generation of financial solutions on the XRP ledger, solidifying the UAE's position as a leading fintech hub globally. Now then, again, one thing I want to make very clear about XRP. XRP has a competitive advantage over its competitors, and it doesn't have many competitors because it's a very, optimistic, very big project. It's not a simple thing to do what they're trying to do. Now, if Trump wins, and let's say for argument's sake, Harris doesn't win, but let's say Trump wins the election, is he going to want Ripple to be powered by the Middle East, or Russia, or China, or even Europe for that matter? No, he will want them to be based in America. So he is personally going to go after Ripple and get them to build in America. And he's going to make the head of the SEC do his bidding as far as that's concerned, and the Commodities Commission, whatever it might be. Ripple is building central bank digital currencies. It is building its own fiat, its own stable coin. It is building its own DeFi platform, which will probably come with some kind of DEX, a decentralized exchange. It's going to have NFTs on it. Okay? When people talk about an Ethereum killer or a competitor to Solana, people are looking at these chains which are very small, and yes, they might have better technology, but nobody uses them. If you've got XRP integrated with all the banks, all the on and off ramps around the world are all fully onboarded. Chainlink is part of that as well, as is, what's the other one called that begins with a Q? I can never remember the name of it. Once they are all integrated between each other, then you are going to see XRP being a major, major player. And that will be a challenge to Solana and a challenge to Ethereum. It's not going to replace Ethereum, and it's not going to replace Solana. We are talking about a global system. There is never going to be a single blockchain that ever exists that's going to control everything. It's just not going to happen. There is no such thing as an Ethereum killer or a Solana killer or an XRP killer or a Bitcoin killer. They don't exist. Now, smaller chains, yes, of course there are. Sui and Sei and Celestia, they all have to find their own way. AVAX as well, Cardano to some degree, they have to find their own way. But we're talking about the big hitters. Now, if you were also going to be a betting person, and I'm not, what would you say would be the next ETF to be launched after Solana? XRP. XRP is likely, if it continues on the path it's going, it is very likely to become an ETF. So then you've got CBDCs, stablecoins, DeFi platforms, DEXs, and an ETF. So, is XRP at some point in the future, if I go back here, is XRP going to be as valuable as BNB, if not more? Yes, I think so. What about Ethereum? Long way to go. I don't think it'll get there. So, let's say XRP gets to $300 billion. That would give it a $5.70 market cap. Okay? That's a 10x in the next potentially 12 to 15 months. But it's got to hit this bull run. And this bull run might be April. So where's it going to go by April? $3? Maybe. $4? Absolutely. So you've got a problem with these people telling you that XRP is going to $100. $100 XRP would 200x the market cap. So what would that give it? A $6 trillion market cap? Are we seriously talking about a $6 trillion market cap for XRP? I don't think we are. So where are we going to get to? A few hundred billion? More than likely. So what market cap does that give it? $5, $6, $7? Absolutely. Is it going to give us a $689 XRP? No. What planet are you on? So again, you've got to be careful. Although I'm telling you all the bullish news that's out there, you have to remember that XRP is not the be-all and end-all, and it's certainly not going to challenge the market cap of Bitcoin or Ethereum in this bull run, or maybe even the next bull run. So there we go. Lots of people like Casper. Yes, Marathon has started mining it as well. A lot of people are very bullish on Casper. Casper is a good coin. Only thing is XRP is building there is stables. Yeah. Well, they are, aren't they? They're building their own stable coin. And for that stable coin to work, that stable coin is going to have to sit on the biggest blockchains. And that would be, at this moment in time, in terms of TVL, in terms of liquidity, you'd have to look at Ethereum, Tron, and then Solana is probably fifth on that list. So even when they build their stablecoin, that stablecoin has to exist on the other blockchains. And Ethereum is the first one. What's Ethereum got? An 80 or $30 billion worth of stables over there. So, of course, Ethereum's going to be the first place to build it. So, yes, that's what, look at what PayPal did. PYUSD, that's only just arrived on Solana. So, of course, lowest hanging fruit is Ethereum. But what I'm saying is I am bullish on XRP, very bullish on XRP. But like I was saying about the targets that some people are giving you, you have to be realistic. Okay? We're at $2 trillion. I think the most we're going to get to is 10. So that's a 5x. at most. Hi, Solo Sky. Where are we going to go with Bitcoin this week? I think in the short term, we're going down. And then on Wednesday, if the CPI data is good, then we're going to go up. And if it's not good, we're going to go down. I think 52, 54,000. I don't want to say worst case scenario because it'll always be wrong. I think 52 to 54,000 is a good target, bearish wise. And if bullish wise, look what I was saying was we hit the bottom of the bull market support band at 61.7 and we came straight back down. We got rejected. It was a hard no. It was a capitalized no. And that's not a good thing because it takes us a few days to recover. So we might trail down today and tomorrow, and then maybe we recover on Wednesday. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. This is just what I'm thinking out loud. Right then, moving on very quickly. Right, if you're new here, say hello. We do have a few new people in chat today. We have Ash. Oh, I think Ash has been here before. And Bluff City. I don't think I've seen you before. But welcome anyway. Welcome you all. Right then, now, I made a video again quite a few months ago about Monero. Monero was delisted from the biggest crypto exchange in the world. And I'm going to tell you why I personally think you shouldn't be investing in privacy coins. And I'll tell you at the end. Zcash is one of the top performing altcoins as it's rallied by 90%, hit $625 million in market cap. The price could erase a portion of the gains due to waning investor interest and declining volume. And then there's the price target of $37. So basically, there are a few privacy coins. There's 3 that I know of and 2 that I can remember the names of. There's Monero, Zcash, and I think there's one other major one. And what you've got to understand is, with privacy coins, what is a privacy coin? It's to protect people from knowing you are transacting. That's what it's there for. So you could send me $1,000 in Zcash and I wouldn't know, or sorry, everybody wouldn't know who sent what to where. Now, what's the issue with that? Tornado Cash, quite rightly in my opinion, should be shut down. Because I am not a crypto maxi. I am very old. I am 50 in October, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not an AI voice. I'm not a 20-year-old degen, believe it or not. I'm going to be 50 in October. So I've been around the sun nearly 50 times. And I'm going to let you in on a secret. Extremists, and I better not use that word, but extremists, Bitcoin maxis, ETH maxis, Sol maxis, privacy maxis, they're never going to win. You're never going to win. And privacy has a certain role in society. Privacy and the right of free speech, the right of consequences as well, the right of looking after your own money is one of them. But the right of privacy to the extent that it can be abused by bad actors is not. And we have a right, and you can call it a nanny state, we have a right to protect people because let's say that Tariq has his wallet hacked into and it's in, let's say he's got $10,000 worth of Solana and that Solana can't go near an exchange because the exchange will then lock it up, the police will get involved. Exchanges are getting very good at dealing with law enforcement. So that's a real positive that's happened in the last few years. So the money can't go near an exchange, but what it can do is it can go to a wormhole, it can go through to something like Tornado Cash, it could be exchanged for Monero or Zcash, and then it disappears, and you're never going to see it again. So even though we're on a public blockchain, it can be made to be vanished. And Monero, in my video, I said Monero's days are numbered, because the European Union have voted that, I think actually, no, it wasn't the European Union, it was Italy. Was it Italy, Belgium, France, and a few others banned the privacy coins. So if let's say we get to the point where you've got $1,000 in Zcash, for argument's sake, and the exchange that you're on turns around and says, right, as of next Monday, we're not allowed to have Zcash because the governments in these 12 countries have said that we're not allowed to have privacy coins. Your choice is to sell it. But the second you go to sell it, you will have been front run by everybody else. And the example I'm going to give you is not Zcash, is Monero. Now, yes, it's recovered, absolutely. Again, I'm not going to stand here and say I was 100% right. But if we go back over, I think, the weekly chart, this probably would have been about here. This period here was when it was kicked off some exchanges. It might actually, I think it was this one. I think that was when it was removed from an exchange. Now, what I'm getting at is, I can't tell you which coins are going to rip. I can't tell you which coins are going to 10x, but I can tell you which coins are going to be affected by governments and which coins are going to be locked down or shut down or wherever else it might be. Bitcoin has gone past that point. So Bitcoin for me has got past the stage of they'll fight you and you've won, okay? Privacy coins are never going to get there. It's too late. The way that the European Union, America, where else would be looking at Asia especially, they're not going to want privacy coins. So if you can't sell your privacy coins on an exchange, the price will dump because there's no liquidity. You'll have to use Uniswap or one of the decentralized exchanges. Now, there is an argument. I know Vitalik uses it all the time. Why we need privacy coins? Because he wants to donate to charities and he doesn't want people to know that he's donated to charity, even though he's in charge of a public blockchain, and the entire point of a public blockchain is for everybody to see everything going on, which is kind of ironic that he wants to stay private. Privacy coins for me, you should never hold. Long term, maybe short term price action, you'll win and you'll make a few gains, longing and shorting and stuff like that, I get all that. But long term, 5, 6, 7 years from now, I do not think privacy coins are going to work in major developed countries like Europe, the UK, America. I don't think they're going to work because they're going to get banned. And if they get banned, fewer and fewer people will hold them. There'll be less and less liquidity. And over a long period of time, I would expect a huge decline. And I might be wrong on that. But governments always win. Governments always win. Now, I'm not, for those of you that are new here, I'm not normally this negative, by the way. I'm not normally negative, but there's a few things that really get my goat up. And one is the Emperor's New Shoes. And they happen to be metaverses and coins which don't do anything. And one of the big things I say on here is how do you make money? How does the blockchain, how does the project make money? How does Uniswap make money? Transaction fees. How does Solana, Ethereum make money? Transaction fees. How does Sandbox make money? Why was Sandbox so popular? How many people use Sandbox and what's its revenue model? How much money is it currently making? Those questions should be asked, because if you do what loads of people do and go and look at the previous all-time high and then expect this token to go to all-time highs again, you're going to be left holding a bag of trash. You might as well take it out and throw it in your bin. Okay? Sandbox's average floor prices have fallen 95% in the last 4 years. I could have told you this 4 years ago. Unfortunately, we've only been streaming for about 2 and a bit years now. Sandbox is the worst performing of all metaverse projects to date. According to a recent report, the floor price has gone from 2.86 ETH to 0.13 ETH. So put that into context of today's prices. That is about, let's call it $7,000 for argument's sake, down to $350. So you've lost all your money. You've lost pretty much everything you put into it. The report further linked the decline in the prices to the general trend within the metaverse space, revealed that floor prices have fallen 72%. And here you go, top metaverse land prices. What are these charts? Okay, so the red one is where we are today. So all those little tiny red bits there, that's the price today. That's what it was in the big green ones at the top. Other deeds, Sandbox, Decentraland, Somnium Space I've never heard of, Voxels I've never heard of. I've never heard of any of these things. and I look at this stuff every single day of the week. Industry players have weighed in on what they feel ails the sector. The consensus is that the main culprit is waning interest in the tech. This is due to the tech's prohibitive costs. Beside the bandwidth, users need high-spec computers and AR/VR gadgets. The decline in the metaverse values could also be linked to the downturn in the market during late 2021. Right, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Okay? These projects are crap. Okay? Now, for those of you that don't have English as your first language, I mean they are rubbish. I mean they are a waste of your money. I mean that you are not going to make any money out of them. Now, in the long, between now and the end of the bull run, on the end of the alt season, is the price of sand going to go up? Yes. Are you going to potentially do a 10 or 20x out of Sandbox? Yes. Why? Because it's one of the biggest metaverse coins. And the narrative, if you like, the narrative around AI, real-world assets, the narrative around deep-in might all fade. And then people will say, what can we push next? Let's go and have a look at NFTs. Let's go and have a look at metaverses. So is Sandbox going to go up in price between now and the end of the bull run? Yes. Definitively, yes. However, what I think is going to be the breakthrough for the metaverse is Grand Theft Auto. Nobody uses Sandbox. Nobody uses Decentraland. Very few people use Star Atlas, my favourite metaverse project. And it will be good because it's teamed up with Epic Games. It's going to be on the Epic Games Store. People are going to play it. Maybe it'll be on a console at one point in the future. It's on a PC. Whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The point of the matter is, what is going to get 100 million people playing on the blockchain? What? Think about it. What has the capacity to bring in 100 million people? Let's take World of Warcraft. It's got 10 million players. It's generating $150 million a month. Okay? Good morning, Reza. You've come in just in time for my rant. So, building a metaverse? No. It's not a case of fields of bloody glory. Build it and they will come. There's nobody to come because you've built your stadium on an island that's got 5 people. If you built a 70,000 seater stadium on the Isle of Man, you'd get an attendance of about 2,000 people. Okay? You don't do that, do you? You build a small stadium that can hold 5,000 people. They've built something which hasn't been built to scale, doesn't have anybody to play on it, ramped up the hype, everybody bought this land for $5,000-$6,000, and now it's gone to rubbish. I've got to be very careful what I say. It's a waste of time. Okay? Take an existing game, take an existing world, and plug the blockchain in. So I think if anything's going to crack the gaming blockchain code, it will be Grand Theft Auto. It's going to bring the internet down when it goes live. There will probably be 300 million players. There are people that are going to go and buy consoles. If you want to make some money on stocks and shares, you find out which consoles are going to have Grand Theft Auto on them first, and you buy those stocks. Because if you have 300 million people in the world wanting to play Grand Theft Auto, and you have 200 million of the people in the world that have the console, then you know 100 million of these consoles are going to be bought. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's what Warren Buffett does all the time. So 100,000 consoles at $500 a console, divided between Xbox and PlayStation, depending on which one comes out first, then you're adding $250 million to their bottom line in revenue. Look at the company that owns Grand Theft Auto. Have you bought their stock? No. Why? Because it's going to break the stock exchange when it goes live, because the sheer volume of money they're going to make. So a game is going to come along, and the game is going to become the benchmark for these types of games. What became the benchmark, really, for free gaming, free play-to-earn, or not play-to-earn, freemium game models? It was probably something like Fortnite, wasn't it? How many people played Fortnite? Tens of millions. Okay, it was free, but now suddenly Epic Games are worth billions. So Grand Theft Auto is going to come along and absolutely blow every metaverse out of the water. And that's going to become the benchmark for games that want people. Because why do you want to go and shop in the metaverse? It's a waste of time. You're going to go and do your online shopping. You're going to go and squeeze the fruit and veg in the online metaverse. It doesn't have a use case. Why do you want to use the metaverse to hold conferences when you can use Zoom and see real people's faces? All the suggestions of why it's going to be useful are all a waste of time. So I am not a fan of Sandbox or Decentralized or any of the others. However, I am a fan of Star Atlas because it's a cool game, and I remember Elite, which was in 1984, probably before most of you were even born. Elite was one of the best trading games that's ever been. 2 guys developed it, and it was amazing. Star Atlas is going to become one of those types of games where it becomes a metaverse that other people play in with other projects. That's what you want. Grand Theft Auto is going to build, and has built in the past, an online game that everybody can play. So have Epic Games. So those are the things you want to bring on board, not these garbage, half-arsed metaverses. Anyway, one last thing before we go, and most of you probably know what this is. If you're new to crypto and you do not know what this means, I'm going to tell you what it means. And this isn't a crypto article. This is dollar cost averaging in stock investing. You will hear people say, I'm DCAing into this, I'm DCAing into that. Well, at the minute, I am DCAing into Near Protocol, and I am DCAing into Ondo. So when did I first start buying Ondo? At $1, I think it was about $1.18. Then I bought it at $1.04. Then I bought it when it came really far down, about 80 cents. Then I bought it at 56 cents, and I think I've just bought it at 70 cents. So my dollar cost average price of my Ondo could very well be $1 or 90 cents, and I'm happy with that. So dollar cost averaging, what does it mean? Let's go through. I'm not going to read all of this out because that is not what we do here. I'm just going to give you the benefits. What are the benefits of dollar cost averaging? Reduced impact of market volatility. So if you buy Bitcoin every day this week and it goes 58, 54, 52, 50, 56, 62, your average price might be $56,000 because it's taking the average of what you buy. So if you have $700 and you buy $100 a day for the next 7 days, you'll get an average price. That's what it means. It takes away emotional decision making. I get every day at least 3 DMs from people saying, should I buy X, Y, or Z? Now, if we're in a very bullish market, I will say yes. If we're in a very bearish market, I will say maybe. If we're in a choppy market like we are now, and we are in the majority of the time, maybe 80% of the time, I would say dollar cost average in. Because again, the emotional decision making is you panicking that the price is going to go up. So you buy it all today, and then the price drops tomorrow, and then you've got buyer's guilt because you think, damn it, I should have waited. If you say to yourself, I'm going to spend $100 every day for the rest of this month, I am going to spend $1,900, $100 a day, I'm going to buy Bitcoin at $100 a day, and you dollar cost average in, you will outperform the majority of people. Ease of implementation, we've already talked about the fact before about exchanges have got a lot better. If you go to your exchange, a lot of them have a DCA strategy where you put in the amount you want to buy, you put in the days or the time period, and it just goes and buys it for you. So it's very easy. And it does normally lower the average cost of the share. Yes, it does. Unless you're in a downward market, unless you're in an upward market, and then it will end up costing you more. Flexibility. Again, we don't need to talk about that. So how to implement it. So choose the amount of money you want to put in. Pendle is good. Yeah, Pendle is very good. So is Goldfinch. But again, I can't own everything. Right, so how do you do this? Pick the amount of money you've got. Let's say it's $1,000. Then pick how often you want to invest. Daily, weekly, or monthly. Some people do weekly. If you do weekly, say you pick midday on a Monday. So you invest $100 every Monday at midday. Okay. Then obviously you've got to pick the tokens that you're going to buy, maybe Bitcoin, Ethereum. Personally, I always advise 60% of your portfolio, and not financial advice, by the way, it should be in the major assets, the Bitcoins and the Ethereums. And maybe in the future, when Solana gets a bit higher, maybe Solana as well. Loads of people hate me giving that advice because loads of people hate Solana, but you've just got to look at the charts. So you pick your coins you want to DCA into, you set up the investment plan, you monitor it, stay disciplined, that's very important. Now, again, I have a slight tweak to this. If we see, as we saw with the Bank of Japan, if we see a huge correction to the downside, and that correction to the downside is an emotional trade, so people are panicking, that's emotion, then it's not a fundamental problem with Bitcoin. It's not a fundamental problem with the asset class. It's a problem with the global liquidity and the way it's all working, but it's a shock to the system. So we see a wick down. That would be a good time to maybe add an extra buy. So if you're buying $100 a day, maybe put another $100 in on those particular days. But that's the only bit of advice I would give on top of that one. Now again, dollar cost averaging versus lump sum investing. If you'd put $100 a week in for the last 6 months, you'd have caught the top and you'd have caught the bottom, for argument's sake. If you had panicked and FOMO'd in at 72,000, you'd be sitting on a loss now of about 20%. If your dollar cost averaged in, you'd probably be sitting at break even. That's the difference. You can't time the market. It's impossible. I don't care who you are. The best people are the people that are in the markets for the longest term, that trade very infrequently and stick to their guns. That's something you've got to bear in mind. Risk tolerance, of course, and you've got timescales. But again, dollar cost averaging, it gives you a strategy, it gives you a plan. So we're going to have at some point a night where we talk about how to get out of the market. How do you get out of the market? How do you sell? And when do you sell? That's the question. So that's a difficult one to answer, and we are going to cover it again. But you're going to dollar cost average out the same way you dollar cost averaged in. And that's how you do it. And we'll talk about that again. But anyway, I've just realised the time. It's nearly 10 past 12. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Reza, Ash, Solo Sky, Mags, Bullish Bull, everybody else. As again, I've overrun, which means that we have clipped somebody else's stream. We always do. We always lose our viewers about 5 past 12. So I can only imagine it's Crypto Banter streaming at this time, which is fair enough. Anyway, take care, everybody. Thanks for coming, and I will see you all in the morning. Don't forget, Brogan is live in 9 hours. So at 9 o'clock tonight, Brogan is doing his trading stream live. So make sure to tune in for that. He has all the alpha. He'll do all your coins. He knows what he's doing. It's normally about an hour as well. So make sure to tune in. And if we don't see you then, I'll see you in the morning. Until then, have a great day. Cheers, Mags.